Before Tears of the Kingdom released, there were some big things I, among others, wanted in the game, but Nintendo did not take advantage of those ideas, and I think it held the game back. I do not think Tears of the Kingdom's improved world was enough to make up for its lackluster story, unless Nintendo took advantage of these 5 opportunities. One of the things I really look forward to in an open world is seeing the transitions from one realm of exploration to another. This isn't a new thing. This has been established since Ocarina of Time or Super Metroid, for example. I like seeing how each world, realm, or areas are connected to each other. Ocarina of Time utilized these transitions through connected areas. For example, falling in the river at the bottom of Gerudo Canyon will take you to Lake Hylia. And also, there was a secret cave in the Lost Woods that took you somehow to Goron City. Even though these transitions aren't super detailed and primitive to today's gaming scene, it still felt amazing to discover multiple ways to get from one area to another. The shortcuts, if you will. This aspect in Tears of the Kingdom is a little too straightforward with minimal variation. The opportunity that I wanted Tears of the Kingdom to utilize, opportunity missed number 1, is the tunnel system connecting the depths to the main overworld and beyond that. I know some of the cave networks can get pretty deep and have treasure like Bulba Frogs and stuff like that, but the caves and tunnels are only entered and exited through places on the surface. See, the only way to get from the surface to the depths is to fall in gigantic pits of gloom. There were no tunnels or secret passages that truly took Link from the surface to the depths without falling for a long time. Some of the cave networks get really deep and are really cool, don't get me wrong, but with all these big cave systems across Hyrule, why aren't there any that connect the depths to them? With all the empty space and empty corners that the depths had, why couldn't we find a secret exit that allowed us to return to the surface? And one isn't enough. Some of you are probably thinking about the gloom pits within caves, or Minoru's main quest elevator secret statue thing, whatever. But that's so little. And the point is to not use pits for falling. The point is to find amazing hidden caves on the surface that slowly descend and turn into the depths. Teleportation via light routes kind of ruined this possibility a little bit. Traversal without so much teleportation would be so much more intriguing. It makes me actually not want teleportation in the next game. I wanted to talk about another huge opportunity missed: horizontal expansion. I'm grateful Tears of the Kingdom provided 2 new variations of vertical expansion, but honestly, to see the same boundaries and invisible walls from 2017 still existing is both baffling and, of course, disappointing. And look, I know Tears of the Kingdom does succeed in providing at least some form of constant new exploration, but there could have been just one place where Nintendo and the Zelda team could have pushed the horizontal boundaries a little farther. This is missed opportunity number 2, sailing across the ocean. The Northeastern Ocean is a great example of this. They could have just used that. This is something that I actually expected to happen before release, and Nintendo rubbed salt in that wound by giving us enemies on pirate ships and having NPCs talk about pirates, and that's literally it. Not really anything else. This opportunity not being utilized surprised me the most because it would have added a layer of Ultra Hand building to the seas. Imagine if we could build our own boat and go far out into the Northeastern Sea. The ocean just has to be spread out further. Like it's not that hard. Like the coding for constant water exists. You know what I'm saying? There could have been islands across this ocean, shrines, secrets, and so many other things. And even if it was just 4 or 5 islands, there could have been sky islands above the ocean, meaning that you have to travel via the sky islands to get farther across the ocean. Like the ocean would be on the bottom, and the sky islands would help you get farther across the ocean horizontally, if that makes sense. And falling from those sky islands would be such a bigger deal because you land in the vast ocean. You would have to teleport or utilize stamina potions or something like that to make it back to land, or you die. Even if the ocean was just empty, maybe just one island there, but it was still so vast with the sky islands above it that reach out far across horizontally, it would still be so cool to know that it's just ocean water below you and the sky islands or building a boat is the only way to get across the ocean. Like seriously, even if it was just empty ocean and we had sky islands above it, it would just be so much fun. It's like, oh man, this is a bigger deal if I fall into the water because I'm pretty much toast. Now, if the point of Tears of the Kingdom was this is just vertical expansion for the game and that's it, get over it, okay, alright, well, there's another missed opportunity there then. Continuing on the first opportunity I mentioned, there was not one building that connected an encompassing feeling of getting higher and higher or getting lower and lower at the same time. This is missed opportunity number 3, Grand Towers in Hyrule. So let's take a trip down memory lane. One of the best things about The Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker was how the dungeons incorporated going outside once you reached towards the top. Specifically how Dragon Roost Cavern and how the Tower of the Gods would take Link outside and get some fresh air while getting higher and higher in elevation towards the summit of the tower or mountain. That was amazing. Now looking at a smaller project, Spirit Tracks, it included a tower-like dungeon that Link had to come back and forth several times to progress forward. Some of these towers across previous games even had lower levels going downwards. So what Tears of the Kingdom missed out on was having a tall tower that reached from the sky to the depths without the need for, once again, falling for a long time into a pit. And it doesn't even need to be a dungeon. This tower could have just been a really tall, detailed tower with a little bit of puzzles and enemies that had a lot of stairs and a lot of ways to climb it. That would take Link from the surface to the sky and or the depths without the need for falling. Just one of these types of towers would have been so cool to explore, and the lack of structures connecting to the 3 realms and relying on teleportation took away these adventurous opportunities. Now let's address the elephant in the room. The one thing most people were expecting to see in Tears of the Kingdom, and it still did not happen. This is missed opportunity number 4, no form of underwater traversal whatsoever. Now, before Tears of the Kingdom was released, we got a gameplay footage demonstration by Aonuma. Now, at the end of the demonstration, Link fell into a river and it was pointed out by Andres Restart and probably some others across YouTube and other forums that in the split second Link was in underwater, under the river, towards the end of the gameplay demonstration, the Ascend ability was lit green. It went from gray to green, meaning that it could be used. And then it turned gray when Link swam up and reached the surface of the water. This was a huge freaking deal. So from this alone, I was actually fully convinced that some form of underwater traversal was going to be possible because you could use Ascend to just immediately go to the top of the surface of the water. Like imagine being deep underwater and you need to get the heck out. Okay, just use Ascend. Like that makes so much sense. Like it just makes sense. And I had an interesting feeling that it wouldn't be what we expected, since it was going to utilize Ascend. So it could have been possible, and I told myself this, that okay, maybe, it's not like traditional like Skyward Sword or Twilight Princess swimming underwater, maybe it's something different. So I thought Link was going to receive some sort of Metal Mario type of power or Iron Boots or something like that that would allow him to walk underwater instead of just swimming. And this could have been easily possible because there isn't a lot of object data underwater from what it looks like from like these hack videos and stuff like that of people going out of bounds. And the collision of the ground underwater is just so simple. Like it's not crazy or anything. So it couldn't have been such a hard ordeal to add this to the game. Like the coding, like I can't picture it being so difficult to just add walking underwater with some sort of power up or power or something. It was a huge missed opportunity to completely omit simply walking underwater or underwater traversal at all. Now, what if I told you there was an even bigger elephant in the room?
Whoa!
Something that people, even the biggest Zelda fans and Zelda YouTubers, are still discussing to this day. That brings us to opportunity miss number 5, the many gaps of the story in Tears of the Kingdom. So let's jump out of the box for a second. Let's think big and look at other things. As a strong Nintendo fan, I would eventually become a greater video game fan and spread my taste across other video game franchises. In 2018, I had the absolute memorable pleasure of playing Red Dead Redemption 2 and Spider-Man for the PS4. After playing those games, I realized that the narratives of video games have evolved into something truly detailed, emotional, and overall spectacular. One thing that I realized about storytelling is that it's great to see the most important moments of character interaction that drives, or should I say merges, the protagonist's goals and the real-life player's goals together. Like, I feel an emotional reaction if said character kills the protagonist's best friend or something like that, then yeah, I'm with the protagonist, like, mentally and emotionally. I'm like, yeah, dude, let's go get this guy, The player has an emotional connection with the protagonist's goals, just like the protagonist in the story. With Breath of the Wild, the story was fragmented into memories, but overall did not spoil or jump to a story exposition way too quick. We knew that Link fell and the Champions King and others lost their lives to the Calamity before getting off the Great Plateau and finding the memories on our own in any order. Link was also heavily involved in the memories, and it gave a lot of light to world building through speculation, even though it was a rather minimal story. We even saw a series first of Link's fall, which almost feels like a death scene, even though we know he's okay. Each memory, regardless of any order found, provided valuable story information even though we knew the overall outcome. While I and many others don't prefer this story system, it was still good for what it was. Seeing the fall of characters in passionate story writing that provokes emotion to the player is very powerful and something we see in well-written narratives of video games. We did see Raru's seal and Zelda's transformation, which are both monumental moments to creating an emotional connection to the characters. However, the story gaps and story presentation were unorganized and incomplete. For one point, Sonia's death.
Prince Sonia needs you!
You know what I'm saying? It led me and probably others to think that she was still alive and going to die eventually and maybe had some final words. However, there was no official cutscene of her passing, and Zelda didn't really show any impact from this as the story progresses, so what the heck? This is a huge gap in the story and it feels very incomplete. And for a second point, there are many world-building gaps in the story that become a little too vague, where heavy speculation is needed to come up with an answer. For example, unnamed sages of the past, which I'm making a video on, and if you're watching this video by the time that video has came out, link right up here and in the description, but as of this recording, it's not done. As a huge Zelda fan, especially a fan of how previous games utilized passages across realms and locations, creative means of water traversal, and how the stories of the games had excellent presentation, I am disappointed with the anticipated presentation behind this most previous Zelda installment. And remember, just because I'm not pleased with Tears of the Kingdom's lost opportunities, and I'm overall displeased with a lot of its presentation, I will still, of course, happily discuss and create videos on Zelda theories, and don't worry, I'm not throwing Tears of the Kingdom away from my content. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate it. If you made it this far, please let me know what you think is the biggest opportunity missed or the biggest disappointment Nintendo made with Tears of the Kingdom. Or defend Tears of the Kingdom and tell me an opportunity that Nintendo took that was so good it outshines all 5 of these missed opportunities. Thank you and have a great day. Peace out.